Hello, everyone. So first things first, I want to extend a very warm welcome to our social psychology course. I am really excited for this semester, and I hope that you guys are too. So this video is going to be a really quick overview of some key details regarding how our class will be structured, some of the main assessments that you'll be graded on for this course, and some of our important course policies. Now, keep in mind that this video is intended to complement, rather than replace, a careful review of the actual syllabus. All right, so let's get things started. Our format for this course is going to be what's called a flipped classroom. And in order to get you oriented to how this course will work, I actually think it's useful to compare it to what this might look like in a more typical semester where we would be meeting in person. So when I normally teach this class, if we were meeting Tuesday and Friday, both of those days would be a mixture of lecture, where I am kind of familiarizing you with content. You might be encountering topics for the very first time, and then blending that with more interactive activities, things like small group work, small group activities, and discussion. And so what we're going to be doing with this flipped format is basically separating out everything that is content delivery, everything that is first acquainting you with the material, basically the equivalent of me lecturing, and that all is going to get bundled into work that you will do asynchronously before class. In other words, you'll be working with the materials I give you to get yourself acquainted with the basics before we ever step in to our synchronous Zoom classroom. And that allows us to do some really fun stuff when we're actually together, right? Instead of me talking at you through Zoom, slide sharing, our meetings together are going to be all about activities and discussion and group work, and a chance for you to kind of address anything that was maybe confusing or uncertain from the readings, the lectures, and any outside materials I had you look at before class. So the timeline of a typical week for us is going to look something like this. You're going to start with the prep work. You're going to be doing the textbook reading. You're going to be definitely watching any lecture videos that I post, and then anything that might be extra supplementing those lecture videos, like maybe another YouTube video that I have you watch or a podcast that we might all listen to. And so at the very same time that you're doing the readings and watching the lecture videos, you're also going to be paying careful attention to the things that make sense to you, the things that are maybe a little bit more confusing, maybe concepts that seem especially useful, and especially any questions that you would want me to address in our session together. And instead of just having those questions in notes, I'd actually like to make this a little bit more of a social interactive process. And so that means I'm going to be asking you guys to actually post to a shared Slack workspace. If you're not familiar with Slack, don't worry, we'll kind of work through this together. But basically, it's like a big group chat for our class. Not quite a discussion board, but sort of similar. You're going to be posting things that you have questions about, posting things you find especially interesting, and responding to each other. And that's all going to happen before our weekly session where we meet, either on Tuesday or Friday. Then finally, the last thing we'll be doing almost every week is a very low-stakes quiz. And this is going to be an opportunity for you to check in and see whether you've correctly understood the material that we've gone over for the rest of the week. I also just want to note here that you have the opportunity to demonstrate enthusiastic participation through both your Slack posting and the way you interact in class. Okay, so let's talk about some more key assessments. We've already touched on quizzes, touched on participation. In addition to the 8 quizzes that we'll have that will be those sort of weekly check-ins, we're also going to have 1 midterm and 1 final. The final will be somewhat cumulative. You will have 2 kind of categories of written assessments. So 2 very low stakes, very low key journals where you'll be taking some concepts, some really important concepts from our course, and actually looking at how they apply in your everyday life. And then our sort of capstone project for this class is going to be a community paper. Well, you'll think about some kind of problem or issue or conflict that exists in a community that you're a member of. Think about how that connects to social psychology and what two different social psychology theories might say about how to best fix that problem. And then finally, another required part of this course is participating in approved psychology department research. You're going to be learning all about that in our second week of class. We'll have a presentation by our academic tech, Bridget Watkins, and she'll explain everything that goes into that. All right, in terms of policies, I'm going to highlight two that often end up being kind of crucial for many of you guys as we get towards the end of the semester. And this has to do with late work and extensions. In terms of extensions, your main take-home should be that it behooves you to ask earlier, right? So if you can already foresee that there might be a pile-up of deadlines all on the same day, or as soon as you learn that there might be some kind of emergency or conflict in terms of getting work in on time, please reach out and talk to me, right? And we can work out something together. I'm likely to be a lot less flexible and a lot less lenient if you're making a request that's happening 3 hours before a deadline. And hand in hand with that, if you do not have an approved extension and you are turning in late work, know that there is a 10% late penalty per day. I start counting that for every 24 hours since a deadline. So if something was originally due at 11 p.m. on Wednesday and you're turning it in at midnight on Thursday, that would technically be considered 2 days late. All right, so to keep things short and sweet, I'm going to wrap it up there. But as a reminder, this is just the highlights, so please take your time to carefully read each aspect of the syllabus, and also bring any questions you have to our next class meeting. Thanks, guys.